Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was a scheduled passenger flight. It was set to fly from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on the 8th of March 2014. The Boeing 777 took off as planned. There were 227 passengers on board. There were also 12 crew members. Everything seemed normal, really. No one suspected anything unusual at all. The flight was expected to be routine. The flight crew made routine contact with air traffic control in Kuala Lumpur. The plane was cleared for takeoff. It climbed to its cruising altitude. MH370 continued on its planned route towards Beijing. For a short time, everything proceeded as expected. However, this sense of normalcy would soon shatter. The world was about to witness one of the most baffling aviation mysteries in history. At 1:19 a.m. Malaysian time, the crew of MH370 made their last radio contact. The co-pilot spoke to air traffic control. He said, "Good night, Malaysia 370. This communication seemed entirely normal. There was no hint of trouble. However, this was the last time anyone would hear from MH370. Just minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder stopped transmitting. This device emits a signal that identifies the aircraft and its location to radar systems. The transponder can be switched off intentionally, or it can fail. Without a transponder signal, MH370 vanished from civilian radar screens. Air traffic controllers could no longer track the plane's location. While MH370 disappeared from civilian radar, Malaysian military radar continued to track the plane. The military radar data showed something unexpected. MH370 had deviated significantly from its planned flight path. Instead of continuing northeast towards Beijing, the plane had turned sharply to the west. The plane flew back over the Malay Peninsula. It then continued northwest towards the Andaman Sea. The change in course was deliberate. Someone had intentionally steered the plane off course. The question was who and why. This deviation from the planned route significantly deepened the mystery surrounding MH370's disappearance. The disappearance of MH370 triggered an unprecedented international search effort. Countries around the world joined forces to locate the missing aircraft and solve the mystery of its fate. The initial search focused on the South China Sea, where the plane was last detected by civilian radar. However, as the investigation progressed and more information came to light, the search area shifted. Analysis of data from Inmarsat satellites, which had continued to receive pings from the aircraft for several hours after it disappeared from radar, suggested that MH370 had flown south over the Indian Ocean. The search expanded to cover a vast and remote area of the southern Indian Ocean. Despite the extensive search efforts, the main wreckage of MH370 remained elusive for years. Then, in July 2015, a piece of debris washed ashore on Reunion Island in the western Indian Ocean. The debris was a flaperon, which is part of the wing control's surface. Experts confirmed that the flaperon came from MH370. This discovery offered, the first tangible evidence that the plane had crashed in the Indian Ocean. Over the following months and years, more pieces of debris, including parts of the wing, fuselage, and interior, were found along the coasts of several countries bordering the Indian Ocean. These pieces of the puzzle further solidified the belief that MH370 had met its end in the remote waters of the Indian Ocean. The lack of a definitive explanation for MH370's disappearance has fueled, numerous theories and speculation. Some theories focus on possible mechanical failures, while others suggest a deliberate act by the pilots or a hijacking. One prominent theory is that the plane suffered a catastrophic decompression event, incapacitating the crew and leading to a gradual descent into the ocean. Another theory proposes that one or both pilots intentionally depressurized the aircraft and deliberately crashed the plane. However, without the plane's black box recorders, which store flight data and cockpit audio, it's really impossible to definitively determine what happened on board MH370. Despite years of investigation, the disappearance of MH370 remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in aviation history. The lack of a definitive explanation has left families and loved ones of those on board without closure. It has also honestly raised questions about aviation safety and the limitations of current tracking technology. The disappearance of MH370 serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of air travel and the inherent risks involved. It highlights the importance of continuous improvement in aviation safety, investigation techniques, and international cooperation. In recent years, there has been renewed interest and effort in solving the mystery of MH370. Advanced technology, including new analysis techniques for existing data and improved underwater search equipment, offers some hope for finding the wreckage and uncovering the truth about what happened. In March 2025, the Malaysian government announced that they were in discussions with Ocean Infinity, a private deep-sea exploration company, to conduct a new search for MH370. Ocean Infinity was involved in the previous search for the missing aircraft and has advanced underwater search capabilities. A decade has passed since the disappearance of MH370. The mystery continues to captivate the world. The unanswered questions linger. What caused MH370 to deviate from its planned course? Where is the main wreckage of the aircraft? What happened on board that fateful night? Until the wreckage is found and the black box is recovered, the answers to these questions remain elusive. The search for answers continues. The memory of those lost on MH370 lives on. The pursuit of truth and closure for the families and loved ones of the victims remains a priority.